more games. There is one that I want to look over for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was also hoping you could kind of help me in. I feel like I struggle in transitioning from like the very beginning, like taking corners and like enclosing the corners into like
Mm-hmm.
what to do next, like kind of
Mm-hmm.
more of the middle game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just kind of feel lost, like I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Yeah,
hoping
the
you could
middle
help me with
game is
that, but I'll send
always
you the.
the middle game is
Go
always
ahead.
a the middle game is the most difficult part of Go for
Yeah.
me, for
Okay.
everybody, for pros, for even AI. So yeah.
Okay. Cool. So I'll send you the game to look at. It's very like weird. I just kind of tried to stick with like what I knew to be good,
Mm-hmm.
but I
But
ended up winning. But
do you
it
want to
was.
take a look at our homework first, or do you want to just
Oh yeah,
skip to
yeah,
the
yeah.
game?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay,
I
so
forgot about
you basically got everything correct, or you fixed
that.
the minor mistakes you did at first.
Yeah.
But let's just quickly take a look here.
Yes.
Um, so you did well here in with respect to technique or intuition. Do you know uh, why that is, or what, do you know the technique that you applied here?
Just like taking away your opponent's liberties that aren't your own. I don't know if it has like a name,
Yeah,
but
we usually start the liberty races by going from the outside liberties.
okay.
Because if you feel the liberties from inside, you're kind of like self-Ataring. You're
Right.
placing yourself in Atari. So
Okay.
yeah, that's the technique you applied here. And then finally, at the very end, you feel from the inside when it's necessary. If you go from the inside first, you're kind of losing your own liberties. That's what you did well here. So for the next problem, again, you applied another technique, which is extending your liberties. In this case, you extend your liberties by connecting, and there is also the possibility of connecting like this. This is a bamboo joint, but the bamboo joint actually doesn't give you liberties because this is center, right? So it's like
Yeah.
in this situation, it's like suddenly when let's say white plays here, suddenly you play here. And then now two liberties become one for you. It's more or less a self Atari if you play the bamboo joint. And
Gotcha.
this is very nice for you to uh, know, because in fights when we are running, we sometimes will use a bamboo joint, and later on, if there is a liberty race, these points they are not a liberty as it is right now, but you could make them become a liberty at some point if you play a move like this. Depending on the situation, sometimes you play here. If you're racing against this group, playing at B will prevent kind of a center move for white here, and then you can maybe win the liberty race. Sometimes this sort of thing happens for with the bamboo joints, but we'll get there when we get there. This is
Okay.
more of a complicated liberty race when we have a bamboo joint and you need to play at the bamboo joint to win the liberty race. Um, okay, and do you know the technique here? The more or less the why this works. I think you wrote in a comment, but could you maybe eloquently describe it for me for now?
um. Hmm. I guess it just like in closing white, like you don't want to well, I guess he doesn't really have a way out like to the left.
Mm.
But
So the A group for white, the key point is that it doesn't have an I, but B does.
mm,
So the C point is more or less a privilege for black, actually.
okay.
If white plays this point right now, since he has two liberties, then uh, he wins the liberty race because it eliminates one eye from black,
Mm,
and now it's like both groups not having an eye, and the
right.
one with more liberties wins.
Mm,
Uh, so even if in this case, let's say we don't have this stone, and let's say it's like this. Yeah, white still needs. Yeah, black can still win this one because black can play here because black has one more liberty in the end, even after white eliminates the eye. But
mm,
once you eliminate the eye, it's more or less who has more external liberties. But if you have
right.
an eye, you kind of extend your external liberties by the with the ones you have internally, because white won't be able to approach you. So
Okay.
once black plays here, white can never play here. So this
Right.
point is an extra is kind of adding up to your external liberties. In this case, the external liberties are 0,
Mm,
but it's one liberty that's a privilege for black plus the eye. So it's 2 versus 1 for white.
okay.
What I mean
That
is
makes sense.
that this is a privilege for black in the end after we fill the external liberties. But yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
this is an important principle for more complex capturing races in the future, because
Mm,
even if it's more complex, this is still a very good way for you to simplify the situation, and it works very well for even complicated situations. Okay,
cool.
so here you take a liberty from white and you prevent white from taking a liberty from you and winning the capturing race. Nice. Yeah, this one you have first played here, and then if white blocks, now it's a seki because white
Mm,
guaranteed an eye. So this won't work, and you can't feel a liberty from here because it's self-atari. This one will just grant white an eye, and now even if you place another stone, white can still win the capturing race.
mm,
And so there's only this option now, and white cannot play here because it's self-atari. So white will need to capture, you connect, and now it's an eye versus no eye. So eventually you're going to be able to win this co and win the capturing race, because at the very end of the game, when you clean up everything, every co-threat, you can play here and win the co. White can never connect. So
right.
this is I don't think this sort of thing will even be in the rule book, the Japanese rule
Mm,
book. It's just more or less logical, I think.
right. Yeah.
But cool. You found it after I gave you a tip, so that's very
Mm,
good. And that problem is not easy at all. It's kind of difficult, I think. Okay, this one as well. Uh, this is not that simple either, and I think most players up to maybe like 12Q will play this Hane during a game. Spotting this during a game is 10 times harder than during a problem. So uh, now that you know, it's going to help a lot. Okay, so you shouldn't block here because it helps white get the four space, force internal intersections space, which is enough for you to live. If you throw in, then we only have three spaces. The throwing basically, with the throwing, we basically make whites kinda play this move, more or less in center, so we can kill it in the end. Here, what did you play? So, oh, you played the throw-in here. So you spotted the throw-in. I think you spotted the throw-in in this situation, but not the other one. So you were very close on in that other problem as well. Okay, so we spotted the throw-in, and here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stones on the second line. 7 stones on the second line lives if it's black's turn, if it's the turn of whoever is on the second line. Because we can then create a 4 stone internal space.
Right. Okay.
If we have 8 stones, now it's alive as it is. Yeah, you can just Inuki like you answered here. And one very curious thing about this shape is that before AI, we would just abhor this sort of thing, because living on the second line is just very inefficient. So yeah, we would never see this sort of thing in a pro game, for example.
Okay.
But AlphaGo Master played this kind of thing against some pros because in the variations they played, for example, there wasn't a stone here, and AlphaGo had some stones on the outside, and if you live in Sente with 8 stones like this, then you can just cut after living. And we would never think like this, because we would think like, even if you cut, it's still inefficient.
Yeah.
But AlphaGo kind of proved us wrong, because if you live, that's the ultimate source of strength.
Right.
If you're unconditionally alive on the board, you can just do whatever you want elsewhere. Yeah. So there are two ways of getting strength. One is like having yourself connected, and whatever comes near your group, you can just kind of kill. And the other type of strength is just being alive. If you're alive, you can just do whatever you want around it. So that's the curious thing that I wouldn't have imagined either before AI. No. Okay, so if you play on the inside, you create a free stone dead shape, and now white cannot live. And you showed me in pictures what happened if you play here, and whites can still create an eye internally, because these free stones, they create an eye after being captured. If it's only 2 stones, then it isn't an eye. So yeah, by having an extra stone inside, you can create an eye. So that's it for the homework. I think you had like 80% correct at first, and then you got to 100% very quickly afterwards. Nice. Do you want to go directly into that game, or do you have any questions?
We can go into that game. That set of problems that you gave me last week it just felt like more natural to me, like as opposed to some of the like shape ones. Because I typically do more like life and death
Mm-hmm.
ones, like when I'm just practicing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or like the Seki ones, those felt kind of natural. Like
Mm-hmm.
it'd be way harder for me to see it in a game, I feel like, like it seemed like more obvious. Like, okay, it just seems right that this is the answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the shape problems are usually way more subtle. They
Mhm.
are much more advanced in terms of not necessarily reading, but feeling for the game. So
Right.
it takes a while for you to get a feeling of for why they are good or bad. So in general, I usually teach shape problems as more of a demonstration of what
Yeah.
an advanced player would play, not necessarily like try to read why it's
Right.
better or worse. Just watch how a good player plays, and that's all. And when I say a good player, I'm not saying I'm a good player. I didn't invent those shapes. I just know them, and for the most part,
Yeah.
I just know them. So okay, let me open a review here.
Okay.
Okay, so you were black. Mm. So he directly invaded, and he probably loses a little bit because you want to place your stones in empty corners, uh,
Mhm.
not this corner because he already has a stone. So, but on the other hand, you could, for example, play one or two moves and then place your stone in another corner. And I think he's losing a little bit now because ideally he would have like an expansive corner rather than this. This is already a full corner, but it's a little bit too much on the third line. It should be like a secondary pattern for him
Right.
after filling the corners, not like this. It goes back to something like him having the free initially, and then let's say uh, let's say you play here, he goes in and then he slides and then you go down. This slide isn't really a Joseki. I think most players would either play this or maybe jump or turn. If you just play here, I think it's a loss because black it's a little bit thicker, and yeah, the territory is not too big for white. So yeah, mm, that would be my opinion on this. Um, yeah, okay. Hmm. Do you notice anything weird with his play, or do you think
He's
he
like
played
so
all right?
focused on that one
Yeah,
corner
yeah,
that it
exactly.
kind of freaked me out. So I was like, I'm just gonna play in all the other corners because
Yeah,
that's what
it
it
shouldn't
seems.
freak you out. You have the right intuition here. So he's spending too many stones in one spot.
Right.
He
Because
has.
even if I just left him alone, he's only getting like this much corner when
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to get all the other ones.
Yeah, he has four stones in five stone. No, four stones in one corner. And if we, for example, take one move out each, would you say this is efficient? Not at all. Like he has way too many stones clumped up in a corner, and they are not even very well spaced out. This stone
Right.
is not necessary at all to protect the area he's protecting. He could, for example, if he wants to extend from this corner, he could do something like this with that stone, or this. So this isn't good for him at all. He has too many stones there. Okay, he spends another move to capture another song. Okay, not another song, but only one stone. Okay, he invades, so he is very paranoid about the corner, I suppose. Okay, so typically this is not a good protection because there's still a defect here and a defect here.
Okay.
So what you want to protect is not protect, but I mean, what you want to do is uh, ideally with one move protect both defects. But if that's not possible, protect one defect well. If you play
Okay.
here, this defect still exists. In this case, you can capture in a letter, yeah. But letters are conditional captures because once he places a move on the way, you're gonna
Right.
have to add another move to recreate a letter or capture directly. So that's the problem with letters. And this defect still exists. So if you this you could still capture this stone with a letter. It still works, but again, it's a conditional capture. So here you're not protecting either cut very well. So it's better for you to protect one of the cuts very well and maybe leave the other one open or in a letter. But in this case, this protection works to protect both actually, because there is a net here. You can either play this one to capture in a letter, or you could play this net. He cannot go out.
Okay.
You see?
I know I saw when I played what I did play at B14. I know I saw the ladder if he cut at the E16, so I wasn't like super worried about it because I was like, I know I can capture it. But yeah, I didn't really think about the if he cut at C15.
Yeah, he won't cut at C15 directly. But what he's going to try doing is to make you protect. First, he needs to live. So he can either live with this one or this. And you get another forcing move here, which helps a lot with protecting the cuts indirectly, because now with the C group, you can live independently in the direction of D. But what I mean by not playing the cuts directly is he's going to, for example, play like this and not cut, play like this and not cut. Maybe not directly, maybe he invades, for example, he invades here, you take another corner, and eventually he gets you here and here, and now you have a blob to defend. This group doesn't have any points. He has very poor eye shape. It feels very depressing to have so many stones in this area with a group that could have been a very nice wall to become suddenly a target, right? Of course, you did Tenuk in this variation. You Tenuk it quite a few times, right? So you got some compensation elsewhere, but it still feels frustrating, I guess. So if you protect like this, you have eye shape around here, and you protected the cutting point at the square point. So that would be better. And what do you think about this honey? Or would you have now still played a tenuki, like playing another big move, or would you try playing something like B or protecting around C? Like after I explained the defects around this shape, what would you do here?
Probably C,
C,
like
okay.
protect that cut, especially now because he's on that top side of that pair of two.
Mm,
So if he were to cut, it makes it a little more dangerous.
Mm.
I feel like.
If you're going to protect this shape, like the defects around C, I think C is okay, but still, for example, in the future, if he plays here, you're going to have to connect or do something like this, and you still get a blob, right?
Right.
For protecting your eye shape, I think it's better for you to play like this.
Okay.
Because this is still a net, right?
Right.
So you get an eye around here, you prevent that beep around B, and you're still capturing C. So
Okay.
the way to fix
I
this
mean,
shape locally, I think it's here. But what I mean by placing another move in this area is actually playing B because it's your Sente. He needs to answer, and now you
right.
can. It's still a bit slow for you to play a move around here or here. This one is probably even better than this one, than this one, but they are kind of similar. And the key thing I wanted to highlight is that playing one is a very big center for you right now that could help you solve future problems around this group, and it's big territorially. And
Mm.
the biggest downside is actually that if you play elsewhere, once he plays here, he's expanding his territory, taking away your cente, and your shape is much weaker now. Because now cuts around A are much more likely, and a honey around B is very painful for you because he's
Mm-hmm.
going to start developing the top. He won't be playing there directly because you can even probably tenuki. Like if you continue like developing the left, let's say like this, and he harness, you can keep on tenuki. But eventually, number 4 will be much more a center for him than for you, because now
Okay.
if you extend here, he doesn't need to answer.
Right. Okay.
He can, for example,
And
invade the left and nullify your like the potential of your wall, something like this. What was your question?
I was gonna say on move 20 that you had where it's labeled ABC, if I play B here, and since he has to respond to D, I could
Or
even make
if you
kind of like a
sorry, could you repeat the question? Sorry.
oh sorry. So at move 20,
Mm.
if I play at B, like I turn, so he has to connect it. Now I can play like wherever, right? Because that's a lot safer.
Yeah,
Or
for
should I
sure.
still?
Yeah, he can still
Okay.
peep around those around A and B, but it won't be nearly as strong as if he peeps after he gets the, for example, right here, and you keep on playing for a moyo. Now these peeps are kind of severe, or even cutting here is kind of severe.
Mm,
You extend, he extends. You can protect here, but he could create a fight on the top. And this is a way for him to get back into the game. Because with
mm,
a complex fight, he can create opportunities for mistakes, and he
yeah,
can create a very large territory on the top if he captures you in the end, right?
it's that's kind of what ends up happening
Oh,
in a
really?
little. Yeah,
Oh, he cuts you. Oh, because you hunted. So now
yeah.
you can't hunt it. You have to extend. You could
Okay,
also jump, but then he has stuff like this, and it's kind of annoying for you to fix the shape because you can do
right.
stuff like this. So you should probably just extend. Okay. Oh, you are tired. Here, it's better for you to simply protect
Okay.
because imagine we have this situation and he protects the top with something like this. Would you play here?
No, I feel like I would extend that territory more like down further.
Yeah, when you play
Like,
here, you're not adding too much to your shape,
hmm,
but you're kind of giving him an opportunity to uh, force you into adding more stones into your shape that was already more or less resolved.
hmm,
Uh, this is kind of an empty triangle, the A stone, because
right.
eventually he has this Atari.
Hmm,
So if we take out this stone, we get a liberty. So here we're just like butting our heads against our opponent.
gotcha. Okay.
That's more or less what happens if you do that Atari. But an even simpler reason for you to not play this Atari is that when you play an Atari, your opponent goes from one liberty to three in one move. So he
Hmm,
gains two liberties in one turn. But you can only take one liberty per turn.
right.
So the problem is he's going to expand his liberties much quicker than you can take them. So doing Ataris is usually a thing you don't want to do.
Okay.
There is a pattern called the windmill that happens in the center, and it's usually a uh, this is usually the beginning of Atari Go. Do you know
Hmm.
Atari Go?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So the beginning of Atari Go is a crosscut, and the recommended shape for basically a anyone playing Atari Go or anyone playing a situation like this that sometimes comes up if you play Tengen as a first move. This might happen is to just extend your stone, just defend your stone, because when you defend your stone, you add like two liberties to yourself at least, and your opponent gets way weaker around you as a side effect. So he needs to defend himself here. Otherwise, he's going to get lettered,
Hmm.
right? So defend yourself, and then now you're weak in this area, so you defend yourself, and finally he defends himself here, and that's why this is called a windmill,
The windmill.
because
Okay. That makes sense.
it looks like a windmill, right? And this is a
Yeah.
pro pattern. So the pros
Hmm.
will play this sort of thing in their games,
Okay.
and yeah, it sometimes pops up in the center, not necessarily here, but it could happen here or here. Uh, and the reason for that pattern is mostly liberties and gaining liberties faster than your opponent. And
Okay.
here, that's what's gonna happen. Um, he could either extend or keep on hunting, because you don't have a way for you to escape with this stone very
Right.
effectively, because you have a lot of defects around here, right? Your shape is kind of collapsing on the left, so you
Hmm.
can't really battle with him like this. If he hunts and you hunt it back, it could be a strategy for you, but your shape is still kind of not very clear, and he's gaining territory on the fourth line. I think you're still
Hmm.
far ahead in this game, but he has gained quite a bit already.
Yeah.
His group in the corner, that wasn't, it was going to be very contained, right? He was going to just live like this.
Hmm.
Suddenly, this group is making fourth line territory.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, here he could just jump. Once he backed off and you extended, which is great. You played really well here. You could consider playing a jump here as well. I think it's okay. Because now these two stones, they lost a lot of their importance. So if you receive a B or C Atari, you could consider just giving them away. It weakens uh, your shape outside a lot, but this could be a thing like in the near future. I think it's better to play what you did here.
Okay. Yeah, I knew it wasn't worth. Well, I can't save that stone at the top, and it's not worth trying to like contain that white group. So I just tried to cut my losses and move on.
Yeah. When you extend here, you're gaining liberties, a lot of liberties, and your his top territory is getting smaller as well. In general, this is a very good result for you because because of all of those reasons. But if we compare it to, for example, him hunting, this is gonna be his territory, right? More or less.
Yeah.
But once he backs off and you extend, you have basically cut through that that barrier he could have created. So
Right.
this is basically you cutting through his shape. And now that you have a lot of liberties with A, once he cuts here, it's a much weaker cut than what would have happened if you didn't have this stone. If you didn't have this stone, now he can hunt it here and your stones are in a lot of trouble. But now that you extended, these stones, they have much more power. And I would say they are much stronger than the A stones. So great. Okay, he kept on going on the top. And he jumped now. Okay. Yeah, the correct protection would be this.
Okay.
Because you preserve an eye here, right? More or less. He can take this eye like this, but he lost the liberty. And this liberty is much more precious than the eye itself for him.
Gotcha.
He's too weak for this. Okay, he extended, and I think you should keep on defending in this area because your group is still not 100% alive, and the B group is a target. This is a fight between A and B, and if you win this fight, you might capture him, and capturing him is very big. Not only because it's points, but if you capture B, you would never need to worry about the life of C.
Right.
So it's a multi-purpose thing.
Okay.
Yeah, this sort of thing is a key point of the middle game. Recognizing fights and recognizing what you can gain. And recognizing that once, not once, but in certain fights, you might capture a group and that group might only be points. But in this fight, it's not only points, it's safety for many groups. So it's much bigger. It's in the game of Go, we usually categorize early opening moves and early middle game moves as urgent and big. Big is usually about points. So you take a big point here and there are no fights on the board, and sure, take a big point. But here it's not about big points, it's about urgent moves. So it's very urgent for you to defend here because your group is not totally alive. And his group is also not alive. So you're basically resolving your situation, your emergency, and placing an emergency on him.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. That kind of becomes an issue in a few moves here. So
yeah. Yeah, and another here we have another thing for you to learn. His group here in the corner is basically alive, and he
Mhm.
has outside strength with these two stones that he captured. So he invested a lot of moves in this corner. It's inefficient, but it's strong.
Right.
So we have to respect him at least locally.
Okay.
So we don't need to respect it globally. It's not a good sequence globally, but
Right.
locally it's okay in terms of it's strong.
Okay.
So one principle in the game of Go is playing away from thickness, playing away from strength. You don't want to get too close to strength because you're just gonna get like battered. You're
Mm.
playing against, you're basically a mosquito going against a giant weightlifter. So it's not gonna be a fun time here. So uh, yeah, he won't play it immediately, but he can totally, for example, pincer you here
Mhm.
at some point, and let's say he gets some moves uh, around the left, and you protect, and finally he pincers you here, and you need to run. He places a move here, and you keep on running. You can see that now you have two groups to defend, but
Mhm.
only one move per turn.
Right.
So you're gonna get attacked from everywhere till the end of time, and it's not gonna be very fun. And that's a key aspect of the middle game. Uh,
Okay.
n-
That makes a lot of sense.
spotting spotting weak groups and spotting when to defend them, if it's
Mhm.
worth it to defend them, because sometimes you might prefer sacrificing them
Mhm.
depending on the situation. Of course, I don't have an artificial example here, but it's going
Yeah.
to pop up at some point. But
I
here,
know I know there was a time in this game. I don't know how far down it is, but I know there was a time where I knew something was either it was gonna die and like or it wasn't worth defending or something, so I just started playing elsewhere. And he's so like hell bent on trying to kill that one group
oh, I
that I
see.
end up getting all
Oh,
this stuff otherwise.
oh, I see. So
Um,
one way for you, so here in the so I more or less created an artificial example here
mhm,
in terms of sacrificing a weak group. Um, if he pincers you here, there is there is a possibility you could, for example, just switch your um, strategy to attacking his left group, and maybe just leaving the right group as a capture for him. There's still a lot of agi for you to move out with V stones, or at least reducing uh, his right side. And I think it's quite reasonable for you to keep on attacking the A stones because it's much bigger than capturing the B stone.
right.
But there's also the problem that he could try counter attacking you, and uh, the A group isn't very healthy. Uh,
Mhm,
so if you, for example, defend like this, he might come back to capture your group, and mm, maybe he should defend here actually, because this kind of feels good for him, and your top group is still kind of weak. It's
mhm,
complicated from here, difficult to see how you should play. I probably wouldn't play this pincer directly. Maybe um, play some move in the center and still attack your top group, because your top group is the biggest thing on the board right now.
mhm, right.
There is potential for getting a lot against that group. Here he is creating a weak group very close to your weak group, but he has an extra weak group to defend. If you
Mhm,
just keep on defending your weak group, you need to defend the left, And finally, you capture this top group very naturally
Gotcha.
and without that much effort. And this is a lot of points. He didn't create too many points on the left. And yeah, this isn't good for him at all.
Okay.
He's just creating more problems for him. This honey is a bit. It might be okay. Maybe it's better. I don't know. This honey kind of creates opportunities for him to maybe switch back to something more reasonable by cutting here, or maybe uh, lower the sacrifice of these free stones, like make it smaller. If you want
Right.
to capture the right, you could, for example, if you do something like this, you can capture those stones, but then he forces you to capture them, and finally he can capture with a net here. And now his free stones are much stronger, and your territory on the left is very contained. It's not
Right.
big. So with this sequence, your C group gets very weak.
Okay.
I think this one actually doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't work because it's Atari. But yeah, he could. This isn't good. No. So he would need to capture in a letter, which is conditional, but he will get a stronger shape actually. This is more tight. Locally, it's more tight, even though you get a forcing move elsewhere. It's better for him, I think.
Okay.
And here you could counterattack like this, but then it's gonna be what I told you as his way of making the capture smaller. Can you extend here? I think it's okay, maybe not. Maybe just capture here, and if you capture, he gets a little bit thicker on the left. You get thick on in the center, so maybe, maybe, I think it's a good way for him to minimize the damage or get stronger in this area, and maybe now he can go back to pincering the right. Yeah, he made this sacrifice not too big,
Right.
and now he can counterattack you on the right. You won't, since you're so strong in the center now, it's going to be much more difficult for him to capture you on the right. But I think it's okay for him because he's going to make you just connect. Oh my god. He's going to make you just connect to the top in dummies without any territory. And then he can use maybe this AB group to invade or let's say you can just somehow connect here to invade the bottom, to split the bottom and make it smaller.
Okay.
This could be a good way for him to come back to the game. Once he connects, yeah, this move isn't very good because you can fix your shape back, and you did well here. And he still owes you moves on the left to live. You can even counterattack here to more or less eliminate the eye shape around A. And by continuing the attack on the left, you are going to again capture the center in a large scale and very naturally. And you're also defending your left side territory. This is a very good example of how to attack. You take your opponent's eye shape, make it run, and take profits move by move on both sides.
Okay.
That's a good way for you to attack during the middle game. Okay, he plays this move, which doesn't add much. He's it doesn't do much. At the very least, it's a waste of a co-threat. He could use A as a co-threat in the future, and he's placing a move inside your territory.
Right.
Not to mention that he eliminated one of his liberties with this group.
Right.
In this area, he had 2 liberties. But once he plays 1, now he has only 1 liberty there. So
right.
it's basically self-atari. And now he's self-ataring again because you connect and now he doesn't have the A liberty anymore.
Yeah.
So his group that had 5 liberties now only has 4. Yeah. Okay. Okay, you're trying a net. Very ambitious. I don't know if it works, but let's see.
It did not.
It did not. It does work, right? You can just play here.
Yeah, after I reviewed it with AI, that was it kept telling me over and over, like, that's the move. And then 2 moves later, I don't play it. It's like, that's the move.
Did you have more chances to play there?
I don't think I played there at all.
Oh, but you had more chances because he played these moves, so you could still go back to it, right? But you almost got to it, and you played in an extreme way, trying to capture everything, and that's the way to improve. So this is very commendable in terms of learning, because once you die like this, or once you fail like this, you're never going to forget, right? So it's the best way for you to learn and improve very fast. In Go, the fastest improvers in the sport are little Asian kids, because they just play very focused on local stuff, and every time they lose, they don't think like, oh, I play like shit and I need to quit this game because I'm playing horribly. They just go back to that position that collapsed and go like, oh, if I only had played here, everything was all right. And that's I think that's the way to improve. Like, play at your limit, and if it collapses, okay, we try again.
Yeah,
it's no worries. Okay. You blocked, but you only have 2 liberties.
Yeah,
One way
I
for
miscounted the capture race.
One way for you to, in this situation, kind of bail out is to, for example, still cut. You're still gonna get captured, but you get this Atari. So now you can, for example, play a squeeze against those 2 stones, and you have, I think you still need to add another move, but you still at least captured these this sender group, which is quite big, and it saves your center group as well. So you're saving your stones while making points, and he only gets the B stones. And this this is also the area in which he had invested those 5 initial stones. So he isn't really gaining a lot here. So you should feel pretty happy if this happened in the game. It wouldn't be quite okay. But now, oh, you did play the bailout move, and it might work. It might get you a Seki. This kinda has the feeling of a Seki, but you can probably create an eye, something like this. because if he tries to poke at your eye, he's going to lose his liberties. So you create yourself an eye, and then the liberty, it goes back to the liberty race in our homework. It's an eye versus no eye. If he tries to get an eye, then you just Atari. He cannot connect.
Gotcha.
So this is an application of those homework capturing races. This is the eye versus no eye shape. And this could also just result in a Seki sometimes. But if you don't play anything here, he might get an eye himself. So let's say you play like you did in the game. Maybe he can either take an eye or a liberty from you. So here, if you play like this, then it's probably a Seki or a dead. So you're just dead, right? Like this.
Yeah.
Because
something pretty close to that happened.
Yeah, because if you play A, you're basically doing a self Atari. Yeah. You're taking the eye, but you're doing a self Atari, and those external liberties are going to help white quite a bit. Yeah, white should even, instead of connecting here, white can even go from the outside, which is usually better technique in this case, because you can never play 6. Okay, so he didn't play there, but he played that one. Yeah, and this way he can guarantee an eye, I think. You won't be able to play here because you can't play this one. It's self-Atari. But you can play here, but it doesn't matter because it's eye versus no eye. So this, since you can't approach from A, it's going to be eye versus no eye.
Gosh.
Okay, so it ends up much like we've studied, but he doesn't even need to play another move here. The max you could do is play this, but then once he connects, you can't play this one. So it's again eye versus no eye.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, he doesn't. So he's he's spending more moves in this area. You're getting very lucky because even though you're dying big, he spent like 2 or 3 moves extra in this area. So
yeah, that was the point where I knew I was like, I'm gonna cut my losses. I'm gonna go play elsewhere.
Let's
that's
go.
gonna
Let's
get me
go.
more.
If you want to kill the left, this sort of move, it probably works in this situation because you're strong around A, and this group has enough liberties, and the cutting points are more or less inexistent. You have protected them enough, but you can be more ambitious and kill him like this. Okay. This move is also very good as a multi-purpose move, because if he somehow lives on the left, this move is much better for you to defend this area. Right. Than something like the honey. The honey is more, it's closer to him, so you're going to have to spend more moves defending yourself because you're going to have to collide with his stones than the Keima. So killing like this, it's better in general for many reasons. Okay. Okay, he spends another move in in that area. Okay. And now he's going to try to live, but he won't have the space to live because it's 6 on the second line, and he needed 7 stones to be able to live on the second line, right? With his Sente. If you were like something like this, and he pushes with 2, and it's your turn, you can block, and then finally he can live like this. Right. But it's only 6, so maybe he doesn't know that that Sumego rule.
Mhm.
Here you're I think you're strong enough to play a move like this.
Okay.
And this move helps you a lot with making the right side bigger, more or less, or protecting the center. In this case, I think it's probably similar because you're so strong in the center.
Mhm.
But in this case, it might be better even to play here. But this move, if the center isn't as clear as it is in this game, this move could help you get a little bit more in the center.
Okay.
It has a little bit more defects with cuts like this, but I think in this situation you're strong enough
Mhm.
to
Okay.
battle in the center. And when he when he tries to poke at you with A, he lost a liberty
Right.
with that group, so it's difficult for you to for him to do much in this area. He has too many groups to defend.
Mhm.
Let's take a look at um, this Tsumego maybe, and were you afraid of trying to kill him like this? Do you think this is alive
I
still?
think so. I think I just wasn't sure how it would work, or like I
Maybe
don't
you're
think I
afraid
was
of
as
this cut.
concerned. Yeah, I think I was afraid of that
Yeah, I think
because
you
that
can
puts my
just it's probably good enough for you to just keep on pushing, because if he
okay.
tries something like this, you can always Atari,
Uh,
and if he
okay.
pushes again, then you can connect, and you can always like go into the center somehow.
Mm.
So you could try pushing, but another option for you, which is more elegant and simpler, is just doing a net.
Okay.
When you do this kind of net, you have to be careful if he maybe is able to like play 4 and connect underneath.
Right.
So there was
Okay.
no issue for you here. You could just kill him in the corner. It was all right.
Okay.
Okay, I think we that's it for today maybe.
Yes. Yeah.
uh,
The rest of it was pretty much him just trying to
to live in the
live
center.
in the middle, and after a while, he just resigned. So
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's going
that
to
that
happen
top
a
part
lot.
where I died in the top was the part I was really like freaking out about.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to happen a lot up to even like maybe 7 kill. People will still
Okay.
play inside your territory even if it's clearly dead. And
Right.
it's annoying, but it happens. And if you play on Fox, even the dumb
Mm.
players will do stuff like this, like try to live
Oh
in
well.
your own territory. And it's super annoying because like it's so bad manners. Like if it's not clear, then it's okay. But if it's clear, like
Right.
it's super bad manners. So,
I guess you.
yeah.
Cool. I feel a lot better about that game and what you said about like the middle game, like kind of like identify the weak groups and like
Mm.
protect or attack those. So
I'll try to
that
select
helps a lot.
some. Uh, um, I'll try to select some shape problems this time for
Okay.
you related to what happened here. These shape
Mm.
problems, I think, are easier a little bit to fix and recognize right now, uh, because they are related to nets. So
Right.
if white plays here, in this case there's still the Atari, but let's say there's a stone here. If white plays here, it's a net.
Mm.
So this sort this sort of shape problem you're having in this area is not necessarily like a subtle thing that you need a lot of experience about. You just need to know that there is a net problem, and if white takes your net move, it's basically making your shape incomplete.
Right.
It's impossible to complete your shape now. So you're going to have to struggle with with an incomplete shape for the rest of the game, basically. And that's
Okay.
where the shape problem comes from.
Okay. Cool.
Cool. So
Nice.
see you next time then.
Perfect.